This is Anne from focusedandonfire.com. In these daily deposits, I'm talking about being more visible in your career, setting goals and making them happen, and getting things done without working harder, putting more pressure on yourself, or sleeping less. You ready? Today I want to talk about sneaky procrastination. And in the two previous videos, I've been talking about sneaky procrastination as well. Sneaky procrastination is our brain throwing problems at us and then telling us that we need to have those problems solved before we can move on to the task that we plan to do. Now, what I've been explaining in the two previous videos is that those problems that the brain is throwing at us are not real problems. They do not need to be solved. And once you see that and understand that, you all of a sudden see how you can break through that confusion and through that overthinking and through that overplanning. And these are the three problems that the brain is throwing at us. It's confusion, overthinking, and overplanning. I'm going to be talking about overplanning today. And if you want to find out how to deal with confusion and how to deal with overthinking, so that you don't get stuck in confusion and don't get stuck in overthinking, you definitely need to check out the two previous videos. Today I want to talk about overplanning, and overplanning as a sneaky procrastination where we spend lots of time refining and tweaking a planning so that we don't have to do the thing that really needs to get done. And so the problem that the brain throws at us here is that we need to have the perfect planning where we have all the things figured out. We have all the steps figured out. We have the amount of time that each step is taking figured out perfectly. We have the order of the steps in the exact right order. We have all the issues anticipated with the exact right solutions for all the issues. We have taken into account all the possible scenarios, and we've laid it all out in the most beautiful, complete, and correct way possible. And not just the most beautiful and correct way possible, the perfect way. And so our brain is actually presenting us with a problem, come up with a perfect planning. And that is what has us overplan and keep tweaking that planning and think about it some more and refine it some more and adjust it some more and reshuffle a couple of things because we want and we believe that we need to have that perfect planning before we can get to work and do the actual work of the task that we are planning and get things done and move forward. So what is happening? The brain is telling us you need to have it all figured out perfectly. And that is actually creating a wall, a hurdle between ourselves and the task or tasks that need to get done. And so we are here and the tasks are over there, and in between we have this hurdle that we need to work through, that wall that we need to climb, and that is making that perfect planning, have all the things perfectly figured out. Now, we think, okay, this is a problem that we need to solve, let's get to work and let's make a planning. Now, there's nothing wrong with making a planning. Making a planning when you set out to do something is actually very useful. It is something that is adding value because you're really thinking about all the steps that need to be taken. You're putting them in an order that is making sense. You're thinking about a couple of things that could happen and how you could resolve those issues. But what is creating the problem is that we need to have the perfect planning. And we need to have the exact right steps in the exact right order. And because we can never be sure that we have the exact right steps in the exact right order, we keep tweaking and changing and making small changes, and we keep working on the planning and we are over planning without doing the actual work that needs to be done. Now, why is our brain throwing us the problem of perfect planning that we need to solve? Well, our brain is throwing us that problem because it wants to keep us safe and at a distance from the tasks that need to get done, because the tasks are discomfortable and we might dread doing the tasks, and the tasks are pulling us out of our comfort zone. And what the brain does, our brain is like, yeah, I don't want to face that dread, I don't want to face that discomfort, so let's occupy myself with doing something else, a different problem to solve. Let's solve the problem of the perfect planning, and then once that is solved, then we can do the rest. And so it's creating that sense of relief, that sense of comfort, that sense of safety. It's much more pleasurable to work on the planning than to do the actual work. And so while it is creating that sense of comfort in the moment, it is actually creating a lot of long-term discomfort, and it's actually creating lots of extra additional problems and losses. And there is 5 losses that the act of overplanning is creating. And those are similar to the ones for overthinking and confusion. So you can go back to those videos to get more details on those 5 problems. I'm just going to give them here in a very high level way. So what are the 5 problems that we create for ourselves when we are overplanning? The first one is the open loop in our brain, because while we are working on the planning, the task that needs to get done is still running in the background of our mind. Our brain hasn't been able to close that loop and get that task done. And so it's repeating like, hey, you should be doing that task. Hey, that task is waiting for you. You should be doing that task. It's repeating that over and over in the brain, in the background. And so that's creating a sense of discomfort. While you're not doing the task, you're thinking about the task all of the time. The second loss is that you're spending lots of time and energy on doing the overplanning that you cannot use to do actual work. And it's basically all time and energy and attention that is being used in things that don't make a difference, while they don't get to be used for tasks where you really can add value and move the needle. And as a consequence of that, the third loss is that the work is piling up, and there's lots of things that need to be done and that didn't get done yet. And then as you see that pile get bigger and bigger, you might tell yourself like, oh my God, that's just too much work. I'm never going to get this done. This is too much. And that is creating that sense of overwhelm. And when you feel overwhelmed, you feel even more desire to procrastinate, and you're going to want to plan a bit more and thinking like, hey, if I replan this and if I reschedule this, then that is going to solve my overwhelm, and then that is going to solve my problem of things not getting done. But of course, the exact opposite is true. It's because we are stuck in the overplanning that we are creating the problem of work not getting done. Then the fourth problem is that having things not being done the way they were expected to be done is creating extra additional work, because we need to reshuffle things and we need to let people know that things will be a bit later than foreseen. We are late on replying emails. We're getting inquiries from other people asking like, hey, what's the status on that? Are you able to deliver that? Or we are maybe missing deadlines. We need to reschedule meetings. So lots of extra work is being generated because things are not getting done the way they were expected to get done. And we have all the extra work handling that. And then finally, the fifth loss that we create for ourselves is when we notice that all that is going on, that we need to rush to get things done, that we are missing deadlines, that we're not doing work in the way we wanted to get done, not delivering work with the quality we wanted to get done. We get mad at ourselves and we tell ourselves like, how could you let this happen? You are such a failure. This is so horrible. This is spinning out of control, and you let this happen just like that. You must not be as capable as you think you are, because if you truly were capable, then you would have a better grip on things. And so you get mad at yourself, feel bad about yourself, disappointed in yourself. And that is a feeling of discomfort that the brain is again wanting to escape by procrastinating and by spending more time on that planning, because it presents that planning as the solution to the problem and having the perfect planning as the solution to the problem. And so there's lots of extra problems created by the overplanning that are then driving you to do more of that procrastination and more of that overplanning, because you think like overplanning and having the perfect plan is the answer to all my problems. Now, that is a fake problem. That is not a problem at all. You do not need the perfect planning to get things done, to move the needle, to move things forward. You just need a plan. And as I said, having a plan is very useful. It's a great use of your time to look at all the things that need to happen and then come up with a scheme and look at the order of things that is making sense. But a planning will do. It doesn't need to be the perfect planning. And it's actually much more useful and effective to come up with a planning, a get started planning, and take a couple of assumptions when you are not sure, and then based on those assumptions, come up with a plan. And it is by doing the work and actually working on the tasks and moving forward that you will see if those assumptions make sense. If the time that you allocated to a task really did make sense, maybe it was too much, maybe it was too little. If the order of things was right, maybe it was right, maybe it wasn't, but you will only know that by taking action, because it's only the real life feedback that you will be getting that will allow you to test those assumptions. And while you're in this over planning phase, you are having these assumptions, but you're never able to tell if these assumptions are making sense, if it's right or not right. And that is why you keep tweaking and changing, because you're looking for the perfect answer and that certainty of the assumptions being right, and the time allocated being right, and the order of things being right, and everything being right. But you have no sense when you're thinking about things in your brain. You have no way of knowing whether it is exactly right. And the only way of knowing whether the assumptions that you're taking are right is by doing and by testing those assumptions in the real life world. And the way to do that is not to have the perfect plan, but to just have a plan and then get into action. And that will allow you to test the assumptions, see where you didn't allocate enough time, where the tasks weren't in the right order, where you forgot something, where you didn't foresee an issue that needs to be resolved. Like all these things, the confirmation of things that you got right and the confirmation of things that you got wrong, you can only get that from being out in the real world and doing things and moving things forward. So you get to test your assumptions that way. But also you can then also, based on the information, simply notice what works, what didn't work, and then adjust your planning based on that information. So that will actually make your planning better, because now you've got real life information to make the plan better and to have a better sense of how much time a task really takes, and have a better sense of what is the order that makes sense, because you've been in the field and you've had that experience and that real life feedback. That over planning and being in your mind and thinking about it is never able to give you. So you test the assumptions by doing, and then you adapt your planning to the findings and make your planning better by doing rather than by thinking about it. And that is the irony. We think that by thinking about it some more, that the planning will get better, but we just end up over planning and losing lots of time and creating lots of additional problems for ourselves. And it is by just starting from a plan and then getting to work that you will make a much better plan, because you test your assumptions as you're working, you get real life information that will allow you to adapt the plan based on your actual findings and also based on the circumstances that might be changing. And so instead of looking for that perfect plan, there is no way that you can predict by thinking about it what the perfect plan will be. You don't have a crystal ball. And so the best way to get out in the real, to get real information that will help you to make your planning better is to get in the real world, start with a get started plan based on your best guess assumptions, and then adjust as you go. And so that is basically the solution that will help you cut through that over planning and get you going on the work that needs to be done. So what I want you to take away from this video is that over planning and that needing to find that perfect plan and having the exact right steps in the exact right order with the exact right amount of time allocated, with the exact right issues predicted and the exact right solutions anticipated, that is actually not necessary. That is a false problem that you are trying to solve. You do not need a perfect planning to do amazing, great work and to move the needle and to add value. You just need a get started plan with best guess assumptions, and then you need to get out and do the work. And then based on that real life information that you will be getting, you will be able to adjust the plan and come up with a better plan that gets better with every iteration that you are making. All right, I hope this was helpful. See you in the next video. This was today's daily deposit. And now it's your turn. Imagine jumping out of bed in the morning, excited to get to work. Instead of feeling unfulfilled, trapped, and snowed under by endless to-dos, hard work, and other people's expectations. You want to lead and make a difference. It's time for you to let all that potential out, one tiny daily deposit at a time. Are you ready? Well, I got something for you. Are you finding yourself procrastinating despite your drive and commitment to do great work? Well, let me tell you, you don't need more willpower, discipline, or a better planner to get things done. because those are not the reason why you find yourself procrastinating in the first place. Learn why you are procrastinating at focusandonfire.com/daily deposit, and learn how to stop procrastinating and get really great at doing exactly what you said you were gonna do. And that's how you become unstoppable.